you look for a bank, choose a partner with expertise and local decision-making. Veritex Community Bank offers solutions and a true business ally. We look forward to building your future. We're Veritex Community Bank, true to your business, true to Texas.
What's up to my Houston and Dallas family? Welcome to Veritex Community Banks as they present Funding Your Future. And today, man, we're going to be talking about building generational wealth through real estate. I'm your host for the evening, Rickey Smiley, host of the Quiet Storm and 2.1 here. And some of you may remember me from the dating reality show, Ready to Love. So I just want to say what's up to Houston and Dallas. We are back at it again with Veritex Community Bank for funding your future. And as I said, real estate. How real estate can bring generational wealth. We've got some great folks that are going to be gracing our presence this evening and giving us some free game on how you can build generational wealth through real estate. But did you know that the Federal Reserve Board 2019 survey of consumer finances found that white families had the highest median and mean wealth? And in 2021, a McKinsey report estimated that the disparity in wealth between white and Black households was over $330 million, with 60% coming from their inheritances, something that Black folks are not too privy on either as well. But that's a whole nother conversation about inheritances. So let's bring up the panel. Want to bring on up from Veritex Community Bank. He is the EVP of Commercial Banking, my guy, Castile Herbert, back with us again. How you doing, man?
Good to see you again. Glad to be here.
Man, I'm glad to see you. Next, we have the lovely Rhonda Sands. She is also the Executive VP of Commercial Banking at Veritex Community Bank. Welcome to Funding Your Future.
Thanks, KG.
And our third and final panelist is the president of Evergreen Commercial Realty. Ladies and gentlemen, Lily Golden.
Hi,
Hello.
Thanks, KG. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm glad all of you all are here. Before we get started, just tell us a little bit about yourselves and what it is that you do, your expertise. Castile, we'll start with you, my man.
Sure. Thanks, KG. I've been in the commercial banking business for 38 years, and I've worked with all size companies from small to the large national companies. A good part of what I do is not just real estate on the commercial side, but also helping companies grow their businesses from small to large. And that's a fun part of mentoring and being a trusted advisor for a lot of our businesses. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you. Rhonda?
Yeah. I started my career over 30 years ago. I was in Austin, and actually Castile and I used to work together back then. I had just graduated junior high, and Castile graduated college.
I'm an old man.
And I went through the bank credit training program there, and when I was ready to join the lending platform, the only opening was in commercial real estate, and I never looked back. So most of my career has revolved around commercial real estate properties or financing the properties. And commercial real estate properties include multifamily, industrial, office projects, retail, anchor or grocery anchored centers. And they can go anywhere from $15 to $40 million in size. And then there are other projects, of course, that are much higher than that. But that's just the kind of size that I've focused on.
Man.
I've been here at Veritex for about 7 years. So
nice.
love the industry.
We're going to get to your level soon enough, Rhonda. We got to take these baby steps. And I'm glad that this is why we have forums like this. Lily, are you there with us, my love?
I am. Can you hear me?
There you. Yes, we can
hear
hear
me?
you. Please tell us about yourself, your expertise, and Evergreen Commercial Realty.
So I've been in the commercial real estate industry for over 30 years. I own property myself and then own some as a limited partner with other people. And then I own a commercial real estate brokerage company, and we help a variety of customers with either tenant representation, project leasing, or build-to-suit development.
Indeed. Thank you all. So we got some big wigs on the panel and in the house this evening to give us the goods on how real estate can bring generational wealth. Castile, we're going to start with you first. Like, how would you first approach real estate in general? I don't think, if you could give us like real estate 101 or real estate for dummies, do that for us, and then tell us how you would approach real estate in general.
Okay. The first thing is that a lot of folks have to have a good credit score. That's the first thing you have to have for any financial institution that's going to lend you money.
Now,
So,
put a pin in it. What would be considered good?
Good credit score, probably on the low side, 680, really 700 plus to play it safe. 700
be in the
plus
700 club. Okay.
is a good credit score. And previously we talked about ways to improve your credit score to get above 700. And we can always do that at a later date. So you want to have a good credit score. Then what I would suggest is that a lot of folks need to get a feel for, talk to the friends to figure out how some of them may have made money. Some folks are buying rental houses. They're buying them. They're renting them out. They're buying and selling. They're fixing them up. They're, as the term we use, they're flipping them. Then also somewhat move toward commercial properties. But the thing too is when you're in that business, you have to have some funds, some excess funds or equity or down payment to buy investment real estate. So one, credit's the first thing. Second thing, you have to have some money, whether it's 10%, 20%, depends on what's required by the bank to do that. But you need to also maybe watch some videos online. I'm just saying some easy way. Most folks watch podcasts or go to YouTube. How do you buy real estate? How do you invest in real estate? Listen to a number of different sources to get a good feel for what you may have an interest in or which you have the funds to potentially buy, and then maybe take some coursework online or some tutorials to get a feel for it and a flavor of it to understand it. And then you may want to start with one. If you make money at that or you generate some rental income, then you may go to two. Then you may go to three. Or you may decide I want to buy something larger and you don't have enough down payment for that. And you may get them, you and your family, you may pool your money together to buy a property. And these are things about we start talking about developing generational wealth. And I think that's the best way to say 101. Cost you nothing to listen to some podcasts or some YouTubes to figure out if this is the right fit for you in terms of from an investment standpoint.
Mm-hmm. So Rhonda, how do you perceive the market, whether it's business or personal, if it's homeownership or commercial?
Well, I basically do commercial side, and so right now the real is great for and the tenants try to figure out just what the office landscape is going to look like in the future. Are the workers, employees actually coming back to the office, or how they're going to be, is remote officing here to stay? The one thing that I think is great about real estate is that it's truly cyclical. And if you have enough time and enough money, just about any real estate problem can be fixed. And the luck comes into being at the right time, at the right place, at the right time. And you want to always buy low and sell high. But the question is knowing when that is, right?
That was about to be my next question.
Yeah. Well, let me just say this, that, the saying is buy low and sell high. It's not buy at the lowest and sell at the highest. So, you need to kind of set a threshold of just how much money do you want to make and stick to that, or how low will you, how much will you pay for an asset, and stick to that also, so that you're making sure that there is some profit there for you. But you don't have to get greedy, because I have watched some clients who wanted to hold out for the last buck, right? And the buyer said, just not for me. They walked. and something happened to the market, the pandemic, whatever happens, the cycle starts again and it goes back down. And the same buyer now can go back and say, I was going to pay you this, but now we're down to here. And a lot of times they have to take that because they've run out of money. And now this new guy has the time and the money. So you want to make sure that's kind of don't get too greedy.
Mm-hmm. So from your experience and your perspective, when would you say is kind of the best time of the year to buy some commercial property? Or does that happen kind of like in the car industry where certain times of the year where you can, maybe trade in your lease, get more for what the car was worth or whatever? Does that same kind of premise goes with
there is some
real estate?
cyclicality to the industry. For example, a multifamily, a lot of times people are moving during the summer. And so your occupancy levels will drop during the summer and so you'd want to be careful like that. But for the most part, you're going to be looking for, if you're buying a stabilized property, there's going to have been some stabilization,
What does stabilized mean, Rhonda?
Castell, that's anywhere from where you're at that supply and demand, where people are paying the highest, and you've got, for example, like for a multifamily, in the multifamily market, 92%, anything above 90% is kind of considered stabilized properties. Now, it also depends on what type of property. If it's a Class A brand new building, typically you're going to be trying to get a higher occupancy. If it's a Class C, lower, older property, maybe not as many amenities, you're going to see that probably is a little lower, between 85 and 90% to some degree. And that just has to do with the rollover of the tenants and the transition of some of the tenants.
Okay. So Rhonda, just to stay with you, what tax benefits make real estate a good way to increase generational wealth?
Right. I'm going to, just to make sure, I want to talk about, this is just a general conversation. I'm not a tax expert. However, and there's a slide with some of the top property tax benefits. One of the common tax breaks is the deduction of the business expenses. And that's like property taxes, property interest, insurance, depreciation, and management fees. The other is also the 1031 tax exchange, which allows an investor to defer capital gains taxes as long as they reinvest it in a similar property within a certain amount of time. And if you're interested in the details about the 1031 tax exchange, you should definitely talk to an expert about that, because there's several requirements that you have to meet in order to qualify. And there's a lot of tax 1031 exchange tax expertise out there that you can tap into. Then another tax deferment program is what's called the Opportunity Zone, and that encourages investment into low-income areas which have disadvantaged tracts of land. And if you hold the property for more than 10 years, the capital tax gains that you have when you sell it is permanently deferred. So those are just some of the tax benefits that are out there. And it just allows you to defer your taxes, which everyone would rather pay taxes later rather than now.
Now, let's get to the part that a lot of people don't want to talk about or show. Are there challenges to building generational wealth through real estate?
I think there's always challenges, because you've got to get the money first, right? Then you have to know how to hang on to it. I think I'd like for Lily, she is the one who is building the generational wealth at this point in time. So.
Well,
Lily, I can certainly talk about the challenges.
You're a great example of generational wealth in real estate. So
I am an example of that.
So yeah, please tell us about how you started.
And I can tell
business.
you that, first of all, Castile and Rhonda are. Yes, and I can tell you that Castile and Rhonda are perfect partners for helping anyone that wants to grow generational wealth, and that they have been great partners for me, and that everything that they've just talked about is, great, very helpful, and that they're exactly right on having good credit and everything that they just talked about is perfectly right. But just tell you a little bit about my story. I come from a family that had absolutely no wealth and very little parenting. And so I really struggled first in school because I couldn't handle the authority. And when I got to corporate America, I just was not well suited because I didn't have the patience or the social skills to do well in a corporate environment. And then when I tried to start a career, I really didn't have any interest because I just didn't have any direction. So I went with whatever was going to make me the most money, the quickest. And that put me in a situation where I was just absolutely miserable. So I would spend my free time reading Forbes magazine and daydreaming about what I should be doing while I was doing something that's making me very happy. And so Forbes magazine is really people magazine for people that are in business making a lot of money. And when I was reading about all these people, I realized, all these billionaires happen to own a whole bunch of real estate. So why don't I? So I got a friend's mother who was a residential realtor to see how much money I had saved over the first few years. And she said, well, you don't have very much, but I can help you with an investment. And I said, well, what can I do? And she said, well, there's this, and I lived in Chicago at the time. She goes, you can buy a little efficiency foreclosed apartment in an area that's like the medical center here, where there's very few parking spaces. And I can sell one of those extra parking spaces since it's an efficiency and it's got 2 parking spaces. We can sell one of those parking spaces and I can make enough profit from selling that one parking space to give you enough money to fix up that efficiency if you live in that efficiency while you're fixing it up. And I said, sold, that's exactly what I'm going to do. So we sold that parking space for an amazing amount of profit. I lived in that little efficiency and fixed it up with that profit. And I have never looked back. I just kept buying foreclosures with her, fixing it up. First, I started with an efficiency. Then I went to a studio apartment, then a 1-bedroom, then a 2-bedroom. Before I knew it, I was living in a duplex and fixing up the other side. And then I was living in a 4-plex and fixing up each one and moving to the next one. And by the time I got to Houston, I was ready to start buying income producing properties, and I've never looked back. And really what real estate has transformed my life because it's allowed me to, have an opportunity to be my own boss. I can enjoy the results of my own work and choose which clients I pursue. And I've absolutely never regretted that decision.
Wow, that is amazing. That's great. Congratulations on that. My brother is dipping into real estate, and he is doing the exact same formula that you are now, Lily. Like he's got, like my mom, he bought a duplex. He has my mom living in one side as they're fixing up and doing the rest. So yeah, folks, I mean, this is some great information that is being given out here. Welcome to Funding Your Future, presented by Veritex Community Bank. I'm your host, KG Smooth. We've got Castile, Rhonda, and Lily on the panel with us. I know there's quite a few of you that have networking groups here in Texas that focus on real estate. Rhonda, can you tell us about a CREW or CREW?
It is CREW. It stands for Commercial Real Estate Women. It's an international organization with over 12,000 members, and the Houston chapter was formed in 1996, and it currently has over 250 members. The mission of CREW is to transform the commercial real estate industry by advancing women globally. The network offers invaluable opportunities for exchanging advice and doing business. You have the heads of construction companies, accountants, lawyers, engineers, architects, basically representatives from every part of the industry in one room. And we like to say that we can do an entire deal without ever leaving the room, from buying the dirt to selling the property and the completed project. And what's really great about CREW is it's not just the networking, but it also helps build leadership skills. And one of the ways that you gain that is by participating in boss all of a sudden. Committees, thank you. Participating in committees, and then also chairing the committees or being on the board. And I'm past president. And they say part of the best part of being a past president is the word past. But it was a great honor, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And it's a wonderful organization, and I really recommend it to not only women, but to also men. There's several men members, and it's just a great way to share advice and information. I've just found it very useful in my career. And I joined in 1998, so right after it was formed.
And so now I bet you all are booming because, let's be honest about it. We're going to be talking about it next week. Women are right now the top earners when it comes in real estate and small businesses and all of that. Women are winning.
We definitely enjoy working with each other and trying to help others succeed.
Indeed. Castile, what are some of the business scenarios that you have seen bring about generational wealth in the commercial real estate space? I know some folks have, franchises, maybe convenience stores, strip malls,
Right.
Can you talk about some of those?
Sure, I will. There's two categories of it. A lot of what we do is help our commercial customers grow and buy and sell businesses, but the majority of them own real estate. So as you mentioned, KG, I have a number of customers that are in the franchise space, whether it's we call it a Pizza Hut or a Jack in the Box, and also have C-stores. So a lot of my C-store customers, their family will buy a gas station convenience store. They'll all work in it. They own the real estate, they own the business. They'll take that excess cash and buy the second business. That family, one of the family members will run the second business. They'll share the profits in both, and then they'll do the third, they'll do the fourth, they'll do the fifth. So everybody has an interest in not just the real estate, but also in the profits of the business. So a lot of these folks have only been in business maybe 5 to 10 years, but they may have 10 or 15 businesses because everyone's active in the business from that standpoint. We have customers that have a lot of shopping centers. Their primary business may not be in the shopping center business. There may be something else, but as an investment, because they need write-offs, they'll buy smaller strip shopping centers that are maybe 10,000, 15, 20,000 square foot shopping centers. And the tenants that pay the higher rent are the smaller mom and pop nail salons, the Subway shops, little businesses, the businesses like that are in the shopping centers. They pay a higher rent, which we call a cap rate, when you determine what the value of the property is. So they'll buy that. They'll have good paying tenants in it. They'll hold it for 3 or 5 years. There's someone else that wants to buy real estate. They have good solid tenants in it with 3 or 5 year leases. They'll sell it. They'll take the profits. They'll buy 2 more or 3 more. So they'll continue to develop their portfolio of real estate assets. A lot of folks are not as particular about what type they buy, long as it's a real estate asset that they can buy that's undervalued. And undervalued may mean you may have 2 tenants in it, but you can find 3 more that are the right fit for the shopping center, where the income stream goes up, where the value of it goes up. Okay. Same thing goes back to buying investment real estate properties. As both Lily and Rhonda alluded to, you got to know the right price to buy it for, and can you sell it or rent it for a profit in that respective area. You got to understand the community that it's in. So most of my commercial customers all have lots of real estate investments that they have kids that are coming out of college that have got involved in the family business. And the kids are also learning the real estate business at the same time. And it's not about how much money you make. It's about how much money you save and invest to provide generational wealth for your family. And that's the whole thought process. Yes, Rhonda.
Yes, I just wanted to add to that. You're right about needing to find a project that's undervalued. But you also need to understand why there's vacancies in that project, because there could be poor access. There could be, there's just something wrong with the design of the building.
Yes.
And so you've just got to make sure that you do your due diligence and that you really understand what's going on with that building. Is it in the wrong location? Can you not get to it? Which goes back to the access. And so just because you think that you can bring 3 more tenants into it, and you just need to, it's not just because it's there, you really do have to understand how the project has been operating and why there are the vacancies that you have. And so I just be careful with everyone, because you do want to go out and find you want to get the biggest bang for your buck, but make sure you're not going to be throwing good money after bad money.
Baby steps.
Baby steps and location. So I just want to stress that a lot.
Get advice. Talk to some other professionals that can help you. What's great is in Houston, there's so many folks that are willing to mentor you,
right,
and help you, especially the real estate professionals and the agents, to understand the market.
Right.
Even the brokers, so you know where to go and where not to go.
Yeah.
You just got to ask for help and direction.
And that's the great thing about doing business in Texas, is Texans are willing to help each other. And I mean, I have been able to call up somebody and it may be an acquaintance, and say, hey, I don't understand this. Can you help me? And the last thing anybody really wants is you to make a bad investment. And so people really are willing to help, give you advice, and take the time. So don't be afraid to ask anything, or call us.
Appraisers.
Appraisers
are a great resource.
Yeah, exactly.
Environmental engineers are a great resource.
Yeah, I mean, Lily can talk about brokers all day long. I mean, she's one of the best, and so she's, as well as a developer in her own right. But so just do your research.
Yeah, and this is part of that. This is why Veritex Community Bank is putting on series like Fund Your Future.
Right.
We've got some questions from the audience in the comments section from Roxanne. How do you see foreclosures post-pandemic?
I'll start just because the bank, we have not had that many foreclosures. I really think that, and I'm not going to get into the pros and cons of the stimulus, but I think the PPP loans, I think the steps that were taken have really prevented some foreclosures from occurring. Now, this is on the commercial side, but there were some that did not have deeper pockets or were over leveraged that probably did face some foreclosures, or they had to sell at a loss. So, that's the only thing that I would say. Lily, did you see, I mean, I know with your brokerage form.
Yeah, that really hasn't been happening that much. There's just not that much. And what is out there really isn't, it's not good property.
So
what I've been seeing.
Right. And I'm not really sure on the residential. Like I said, I specialize in commercial, but have there been as many foreclosures as we thought there were going to be?
No, it's really been pretend and extend more than foreclose. Right. Everybody's doing everything they can not to foreclose as much as possible.
Right. That's kind of what I thought. I know in commercial, that's kind of what they've been doing, but that's good to know too.
Well, that's good that you all are right on the front lines and can speak to this, because, a lot of people, they turn to the news media, which, they lie to our face every day. So there's no telling what it is that it's not. So it's good to hear, some people who are right there and that have an insight. We have another question from Victoria. How do we apply for a line of credit or business funding for real estate investing?
Right. Castell, you go ahead.
Yeah, you go first.
Well, I was just going to say, we have, there are applications on our website, veritexbank.com, that you can go to. But again, starting off, as Castell started this podcast off with the talking about your credit score, know what your credit score is. and know what your business plan is. If you're, don't come in. I had somebody walk into my office and just say, I would like to borrow $150,000. And I'm going, okay, what's your plan? I don't have one. I just need this money, and then I'll go out and find it. Have your plan before you go, and and make sure that you're asking for an amount that you can pay back. So don't over leverage. So
that's hilarious.
And let me add something to that with regards to applying for a line of credit or business funding for real estate. Typically, when a bank provides a line of credit for buying real estate, we're going to lend you maybe 70% of the purchase price of the real estate. And then you have to also anticipate how much it's going to cost for improvements. So this is not like buying a mortgage, buying a house where you're putting 5, 10, or 15% down. There's a lot of risk in buying investment real estate. Right. You really got to know what you're doing. So we want to make sure you have 20, 30, or maybe 40, depends on what the project is, equity into the project, where that if you run into an issue, you can always quickly sell it. So the rules, there's a lot of little nuances, if I can use that term, when you're applying for a line of credit to buy investment real estate, whether it's commercial property or whether it's residential duplexes and residential homes.
Yeah.
For sure.
The only thing I was going to say too, and then I'd like for Lily, because she kind of started doing that with the condo that she talked about, is don't over leverage yourself, especially when you're learning this business. Keep some cash in your pocket, so in case you make a misstep, because you will make a misstep as you're learning this process, and you have the money for the rainy day. If you've totally over leveraged yourself and you are, what do they call it? House rich, but cash poor. If you buy the biggest house that you can, but you can't afford to do anything else, you can't put any furniture in it. So just make sure that you're not over leveraging yourself, and keep the money for the rainy day. Lily, what would you say, since you did it? I know it was a while ago, but.
Yeah, Lily.
Well, first of all, I'd say don't buy any furniture at all. You've got to.
You did it. You did it.
I did it. I just pulled my little twin mattress from place to place, and fixed it up with, my little plastic plates and, my paper plates and plastic fork and knife, and you really want to keep your living expenses as small as possible. You want to just save every penny you've got and put that into investing, and then make sure that you don't over leverage yourself. I know we're talking about, what are the little tidbits. If you're going to try doing that, you want to keep your living expenses as small as possible. You have to have, I hate to say it, but don't want to give money to anybody that doesn't have any money. So you've got to first show that you're a responsible person, that you can have a good credit score, that you pay your bills, because you yourself don't want to lend money to anybody that's not going to pay you back. So just think about that from your own perspective. You've got to be able to show that you're a responsible person that pays your bills and that can, get money yourself and hold on to it. So you need to do that first before you go and ask a bank to lend you money. So get a job, save your money, show that you can be a responsible person, pay your bills, save your money, then live on very little. And then once you do have that money saved, that you're going to make an investment, you really want to study that and figure out, what is it that you want to put this investment towards. So you want to really plan thoroughly and figure out what you want to do. Maybe show your plan to several different people so that they've looked at it, somebody that's done this before and they think that it's a good idea, so that when you go into this, you're 100% confident that this is going to work. So, it's kind of like that measure twice, cut once kind of thing. And then when you do fail, if you go through this and you fail, maybe you do it a couple times and it works, and then you do fail, on your third time or something, don't worry about it. Just look at it as, hey, this is just, one more learning lesson, because life is a journey. It's not a destination, and you've got to enjoy this whole ride through the real estate experience, because there's going to be ups and downs, and you've just got to realize that you can't win on every investment.
Indeed. And I hope people really take that. I think a lot of times when people get into something new and they're excited and they have all of the tools that they think in the beginning to start this, they might get in over their head. So back to what Castile said earlier, baby steps.
Right.
Before we go, Lily, before we leave this conversation, and you gave us a bunch of great advice based off of what we were just speaking on, but can you give us, some more advice, 3 pieces of advice for building and maintaining generational wealth, like how they impact their families, like the way that you have?
Well, I just want to say for my family's perspective, I'm bringing my daughters into business with me. And I just want to say, after my experience growing up, I feel like the most important thing I'm doing for my family is I'm showing an example to my children on how to run a business, how to make sound financial decisions, how to be passionate about what I do every day, and how someone should conduct themselves in business situations. And really, money can come and go, but experience can never be taken away. And I feel like I'm giving my children something that, no one else can give them like I can give them. And it gives me great pride. And I really feel like there's nothing that makes me happier than showing them this real estate business and showing them how to make money and how to feed themselves for the rest of their life. And it really gives me great joy to be able to do that.
Indeed. We love that. Any last words? Rhonda, you got anything?
I just would like to add with regards to Lily and her generational wealth and bringing her daughters in, especially in commercial real estate. It's very rare that you see daughters following their mothers into commercial real estate. We have several multi-generational families here that developers, that sons have joined their fathers and joined their grandfathers. And so, that's all wonderful. And I bank a lot of them, and they are highly successful, highly respected. But I do want to point out that this is one of the few women-owned developers, commercial real estate developers, whose daughters are following her in there. And I've always admired that. And so I just want to do a shout out to Lily on that. And so, and also just point that out, that it's rare.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's just go around. Any last words, Castile?
No, I echo everything Lily said. I mean, I would have said the same thing, but she said it more eloquently than I did.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Lily, any last words?
No, I just want to thank everyone for this opportunity, and I hope everyone gets into the real estate business, because it's really been a fantastic business for me, and I hope everybody else could have the same experience.
Yeah, it's fun.
Absolutely. Well, we thank you
and
all.
Use Veritex Bank.
Yes, indeed. We thank you all for being a part of this week's Fund Your Future, presented by Veritex Community Bank. Thank you to everybody in Dallas, our Houston family. Thank you all for tapping in. Next Thursday, we are back at it again, 6 p.m. on Facebook and YouTube Live for Fund Your Future. And next week, we will be talking about, I believe, if my memory serves me correctly, women in business. I think so. I think so. Oh, small businesses. No, there we go. Next week, we're talking about small businesses. So you definitely want to tune in, because a lot of people are starting small businesses. A lot of small businesses were started when the pandemic began. Some people left their jobs because they were forced to do something that they didn't want to do, and started businesses and have been very successful. So all of the great information on small businesses next week. We appreciate you all for tuning in to Veritex Community Bank's Fund Your Future. I've been your host, KG Smooth, and we will see you next Thursday.
When you look for a bank, choose a partner with local expertise and local decision-making. Veritex Community Bank offers solutions and a true business ally. We look forward to building your future.